Welcome to Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Minahan and her panel of guests bring you insightful conversations to awaken consciousness for soul growth. Come journey with us through astrology's energetic cycles and get ready to understand your path in the cosmic roots of the stars.
Hello, today is October 6th. It's Talk Cosmos with Kaleidoscope Visions, and we are talking about the lunar phases every week. So rather than me begin and explain this, we're going to dive right in.
Understanding the cosmic energies influencing our consciousness by the 4 major moon phases for the month, this is your Kaleidoscope Visions panel.
I'm Sue Minahan, founder of Talk Cosmos since 2018. I'm an evolutionary astrologer, consultant, speaker, writer, vibrational astrology student, Dwarf Planet University graduate, Kepler Astrology Toastmasters Club charter member. I have a fine arts music degree plus a certificate in jazz. I'm an artist, musician, and certified color energy life coach. Especially, I love mythology and esoteric philosophies.
I'm Amanda Pierce. I'm a soul-centered astrologer, blending intuition into my practice. I believe the universe is always working for our highest good and seek to empower my clients in our readings. I teach a 4-week series of empowerment-based meditation classes that connect you deeper into your own intuition and innate power. I work in communications with a passion for employee experience. I also have a BA in psychology. I'm passionate about healing and enjoy helping others create new realities and shift old paradigms.
And I'm John Chinworth, a Seattle astrologer with more than 25 years experience. I use a blend of evolutionary, traditional, and archetypal techniques and constantly attend workshops and lectures to further hone my skills. I hold an MFA in poetics, an MA in teaching, and an astrological diploma. I've lectured at NORWAC and served on the WSAA board. I have worked in general and special education classrooms, both as a teacher and mentor. I also enjoy reading, penning poems, riding a bike, and going on road trips around the great state of Washington.
And like the Sufi poet Rumi says, you are the entire ocean in a drop.
Swimming along, here we are.
We are for another month. Good to see you both.
It is. Yeah, hi, Amanda. Hi, John. This is super. Always a new beginning to see how we progress. I love this storyline as it changes. And, we start off, we'll just start off. We have Amanda Pierce with Amanda Moon Astrology at gmail.com. It's how you reach her. And John Chinworth at astropath.com. Do I have your name right there, or did I mess up again?
Skypath Astro.
Skypath Astro. Oh, darn. I'm going to write that down. Okay. Well, like all mistakes.
Well, that was close. That sounds right.
Yeah. Skypath Astro. Well, no, we're going to change it. I've got it. Okay. Awesome. And of course, Talk Cosmos. Yeah. Kaleidoscope Visions, as we were mentioning, it's about the 4 major lunar phases. Is that changing process, because it all influences our consciousness. That weekly systematic, about the seasons coming up as it changes. It is a clock, and it goes through all 12 zodiac signs every 29 and a half days. I had to test that, and it does. It's amazing. Yet they are called the luminaries, the sun and moon. The moon, it reflects our light, the sun's light, not our light, the sun's light. And it's a body. It's actually a body. It's so amazing because it's emotional. It's our emotional basis, but it's this rocky body. Unlike the sun, that's this gas, hydrogen, and helium. That's a star, our own star.
Another way to kind of look at that is that the moon is kind of like an intermediary between Earth and the sun. And the sun can symbolize the spirit and divinity and information that's beyond our human capacity to understand. And the moon reflects that light in a way that allows us to take in the information and kind of digest it. So these moon phases kind of go through a pattern each month and we're all going on that journey, and it's helping us kind of gain more insights into our lives.
Oh, goody. I'm going to use that verbiage. This is great. Thank you. It is our emotional body, our habits, the past, as you indicated, with that light that's coming in. It's our needs and safety. John, any comments or?
I don't know.
That's okay. Yeah, it's all right. It does rule Cancer.
Too much. Come back. Very lunar. I don't know.
That's okay. This is one quick picture, a snapshot of showing the different 4 phases starting October 2nd, a few days ago, with the Libra solar eclipse going on each week. And we're now going to look at them individually. The new moon, which was a solar eclipse starting just October 2nd, 4 days ago, was at 10 degrees 3 Libra for new beginnings. Amanda?
Well, so the first quarter moon, so that's crisis in action. So this is taking outward action in the world. We're getting that new information at the new moon, and the first quarter, there starts to become a little bit of a conflict or a need to take action. And so that's what we start to experience at that period.
And John, do you want to talk about the full moon?
Sure. The full moon is the end of the waxing cycle. So it's like, what have we learned? We're ready to put on the big show. This is what we have. And you're getting ready to actually start to wane. Think about culminating, being fulfilled, everything complete, abundance, perhaps.
I like that. Culminating. Also, absolutely.
Also, the full moon is like, if you look at a birth chart, the sun and the moon will be opposite. And if you see the full moon in the sky, it's so fullest because it's opposite with the sun that is just set.
Yes.
And I always mention the bittersweetness of the full moon because it knows this is the biggest it'll ever be. And now it's going to start to fade.
The third quarter actually introduces us as the waning moon, decreasing that light into the next new moon. And interestingly, we'll go into that. It changes its energy focus. And I had not, as you had all indicated, we'll start that with the next. Okay. The new moon, because it's a solar eclipse, is really going to impact us for a long period of time, besides just starting this whole period.
And while the first quarter moon is about outward action, the third quarter is now you're at the end of this phase. You have all this information, and now it's time to make some shifts internally. So this is an inward action, yin energy at the third quarter.
Thank you, Amanda. That's crisis in consciousness. So important to figure it out. This is an extra just to add that at the equator, your visibility is going to be different. And it depends, it could be on the top or the bottom. And that depends largely on which first or last quarter moon it is and where you are. The solar eclipse for this Libra 4-phase lunar cycle will be a few days ago on the 2nd. We're still experiencing this eclipse season, and it was at 10 degrees 3 minutes Libra. Amen.
And the first quarter moon, we're going to see that coming up on Thursday, October 10th. It's at 17 degrees Capricorn, 57 minutes, and it'll be squaring that Libra sun.
John?
And that full moon is on the 17th of October. Will be opposite in the sky. That's say 24 degrees Aries, about 24 degrees Aries. Yeah.
Yep, it
which
will
is
be right on my north node.
My moon.
Yeah, and my north node. So get ready, all of us. And that's the beautiful part about this whole lunar process is that we can begin to get ideas how it relates personally, because the moon is personal. That's one thing I didn't put. It's our Earth's moon. So the third quarter really shifts some of the energy progressing into that new moon, next new moon, It'll be on the 24th. It's at 1 degree, 34 degrees Leo.
And so this is it's in a different sign modality. So the previous 3 moons were all cardinal, all action oriented, and now we're moving into fixed energy. And this is kind of how all the moon cycles always happen. That third quarter moves into a new modality, and it's kind of preparing us for the next cycle.
Yeah, the systematic calendar is fascinating when one starts to study this. Well, here we want to just quickly identify that we're referencing 2 different aspects. Those are angle degrees between the planets. And one is hard, which generally are squares, and they're action oriented. Depending on how you assert yourself, it's going to go along with ease, or it may have conflict. And the soft sextiles connect, and the trine flows. And there are a few highlights overall in October, and one is out of bounds. It's referenced often as OOB. The planets act independently. They're beyond the sun's elliptical path. Ceres has this long pattern now since April 2nd of this year until January 15th of next year. And Ceres is about nurturing, although because it involves grief, and it is part of that mythology. And so it's about nurturing ourselves. How do we claim the nurturing of ourselves that we in turn can share to others? And it also has to do about food, either the lack of it or the process of it. And women, generally, a lot of women.
When I see out of bounds planets, my brain instantly goes to think outside the box, do things out of the way you'd usually do them. So nutritional things in unusual ways or new ways, trying new things. So it's just like, nobody's watching me do what I want. I can figure this out. I can plant some new plants. I can, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of nutritional changes. Go ahead, Amanda.
Yeah, you with out of bounds planets, you can really chart new courses because they're just not constrained in the way that they typically are. So, in both Ceres and the moon relate to the mother. So there's this interesting archetype of the mother kind of coming in with this out of bounds energy. And so how are our relationships with our mother, or nurturing ourselves or others? How are they coming up to be rediscovered and re-envisioned?
Very true. And it doesn't have, your mother doesn't need to be alive. Mine isn't alive on this earth at this moment. And I have been refocusing my relationship in so many ways throughout this. And I look forward to more because it's not ended yet. So it's a good way to begin a new story, because the moon that's how we tell our lives, is through this. So it's always a rebirth, as this solar eclipse is doing. And there is a T-square with Ceres also. She's really being busy because it's between the lunar nodes, which is all to do about relationship, with whatever relationship that happens to be. Shall we talk about this eclipse that happened 4 days ago at 10 degrees, 3 minutes of Libra? It's about the new beginning. And there was that, grand square.
Yeah, it's big energy, isn't it? And it's a south node eclipse. So you see the sun and the moon conjunct the south node. And so this is a period of releasing old energies, releasing karmic cycles. So letting go of the past to allow for a new future to come forward.
It is really, I was going to just add so much action, so many ways to take different steps. Yes. And in our daily life, this is on a national basis, because this happens to be a DC. Oh, I didn't put that. Yeah, it is Eastern. John, you were going to say something.
I was thinking Mars in Cancer, which Mars doesn't much like being in, and Cancer is all that emotion. So what comes up at this time as you go through all these releases might not feel so good. It might be uncomfortable with what you are feeling, but it's a necessary part of the growth, I guess I want to say. On the opposite side of that, you have Ceres saying, it's okay, you're going to get through it. Right?
Oh, thank goodness. And it's powerful with Mars in Cancer, it leads right back to that moon, which is the
Right.
character of our whole phases.
By the moon.
And it changes so fast. Every 2.5 days, it's going through a new sign. And then those in one day, it goes through 13 degrees. So it's really a constant ebbing as the tide just flows back and forth of how we're our dynamics. And besides that, whenever you bring up Mars in Cancer, it's going to go retrograde in Cancer. And so it's going to stay there until I think it is April 19th.
It moves actually into Leo and then it goes retrograde. And so it will be this first period, Mars in Cancer, it's basically September, October, and it moves into Leo on November 4th. And then it moves back into Cancer January 6th, and it's there until April 18th. So this is a huge period for Mars in Cancer. And we'll see this whole cycle, this lunar cycle with Mars in Cancer, and it plays prominently throughout all of these charts. So it's really big energy. It's big energy in this solar eclipse, which is going to have impact for us for different people say different things, like 6 months to a year or so. So it's the seed period for our month, but also a longer period as well.
Absolutely. It is an eclipse, and it ties together so much. As I'm realizing here, Mars, it rules the North Node, and yet it's in Cancer, which connects us to the moon, and in this case, with the South Node in Libra, which emphasizes, yes, our relationship. So we're really looking hard at every relationship we have, ideas, things, people, self, others, as to what is maybe our perspective wants to change so that we can open up and go forward because it wants to rebirth.
Yeah, what can be released with the Libra energy that we hold, and like what are the lower vibrations of Libra that we're ready to
Codependency.
Codependency, indecisiveness, kind of relying or leaning on others a little bit too much, or projecting or sacrificing to kind of keep the peace.
Yes.
These are very Libra energies, and wherever we are on our journey with Libra, releasing what's ready to go so that we can bring in the healthier dynamics that Libra represents.
And to realize that when people bring in new steps, because it is very action oriented, and of course we're talking about relationships, and one's wondering, is that because there's a different kind of fear, it's with safety, as John had mentioned, to look at it very strongly, to realize, is this really a positive step forward? Because I'm realizing with my own that, yes, I can go ahead. We can shift gears here. Let's not stay in my little cocoon of thinking about something, but move forward.
Yeah. And Libra loves balance, and just finding that balance for ourselves this month and with this eclipse period. And the month is so dynamic that balance is going to feel like it's maybe not present all the time. So we're really going to be working towards balancing consistently through the month, but we're building that muscle of how to create that balance for ourselves.
And
so
I just
South
noticed,
Node, I wanted to say, brings gifts. So like bad habits that you do, but we transform them into gifts. And the Libra gifts are, of course, diplomacy, negotiation, and I can't think of any other Libra keywords, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, win-win situation.
Right, the higher
that's right.
aspects.
A
of Libra
cooperation, mediation, exactly. And I just bring up to Chiron, that wound that we then learn, it corresponds so beautifully with Ceres, and the Mars is, this whole focus is addressing that part too, that as we nurture, we can really heal something that is blocking and shift and use that towards our relationships with others.
Yeah. And can I just mention one more thing about Mars? So Mars in Cancer is a very indirect energy. It's the crab, and the crab doesn't walk straight forward. It walks side to side. And so when we think of Mars, we think of action, but it's not necessarily direct. And so it can be a little more defensive instead of aggressive. So tuning to more Mars as like the guardian, as opposed to the warrior. So guarding what's important to us, protecting what we really value in the world. And that can be a lot around home and family. And even if you didn't have like a healthy family structure, this can be about a focus on, like Sue, you were mentioning, like your mother has passed, but you still do work on your mother issues. This is, or remothering and refathering and reparenting ourselves. So a lot of that I think is up for us to work on.
Beautiful. This particular aspect called Thor's hammer, you can read about it here, but it's the focal point is including all of these energies we're talking about. And it's in Uranus, which is, what do we know about Uranus? It's sudden, it's immediate, it breaks away a new pattern energy, it's outside of Saturn. And with vibrational astrology, I always have to add, it's researched to be what's happening right this minute. It has nothing to do with the past or the present, meaning that really, to me, supports the idea that it is sudden because it unearths what's happening immediately now. So Thor's hammer just pushes that. So meaning that as we nurture ourselves, it's really like, what's the story today? What's the picture today?
Uranus might be asking to find a new way to find nurturing in a balancing way, like a way maybe never done before. Uranus is the god of the heavens, and he's out there with the stars, so he's known to see what the future is like. And he's like, this is what you can have in the future. You just have to do this work now. And then he upsets things because like, you should be gearing for things coming up. That's how he thinks. So that's the meaning of what Uranus is doing.
And it is in the fourth house of the national chart, meaning if we just look at it as that kind of filter, it has everything to do. That's a whole nother dynamic. Well,
we are nurturing ourselves in this country.
This simply is the whole picture of both of them combined. Let's move into the flow. Here we have a grand trine, and it is very powerful. It has to do with both Venus and Mars that love getting together and making something very tactile and present that is physical, that their kind of creativity, along with Saturn. That's the timekeeper and like what's essential and what are we structuring?
And mastery. Saturn is mastery.
Master the work in a loving way.
Yeah.
So I guess Mars has a lot of helpers. Being stuck in Cancer, she doesn't like.
Exactly. If we can get through those other parts, we have a lot to build on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the triangle is the strongest structure in geometry. It's what is least likely to break. And when you've got a grand trine like this, it's a triangle flowing through the chart. There's just this consistent flow of energy throughout. And it can kind of be a closed circuit. So nothing can kind of get in on it. Now, all of this is water. All of these planets are in water. And that can mean their emotions can be high. We can be quite sensitive and sometimes a bit subjective. And I think the way to really work with this is to be willing to feel your emotions through this. You got to feel them and allow them to flow out so that they're not coming out in a reactive way.
The great part about it is that in order to manifest anything, it has everything to do about how we're feeling. So getting in touch with our feelings, we can prune them and because Mars does that, it cuts out things. And with Saturn, it wants what's essential. And Venus wants the real values. And it's in Scorpio. So it's like, how am I really relating with how I'm exchanging my values with other parts of whatever, however it fits into your world. And I will add too, with vibrational astrology that I'm studying, and Linda just did one a while back, a couple of weeks ago, that she's done research about the flow, because it's a vibrational 3, it's 3 parts, and that what a grand trine wants, we can think of, is it wants it to flow, and it will do whatever it can to keep it flowing. So you're right, we need to think about emotionally, how are we working with it to
And
keep
also,
that.
yeah, and this is impacting more than just us. This is impacting everybody out in the world. So just to be aware that there's going to be a lot of emotion up, and not everybody's going to be processing through it. So just have that awareness and try to have as much grace as possible for others, or just back up and off and away if you need to.
Well, maybe it helps because they have what they call a kite. What's a kite? Well, it's these 2 geometrical configurations of energies that combine together. But the reason it's a kite is you can see it's pointing somewhere like a kite. And it happens to be Ceres. It's also involved with this grand square and everything like Mars. And so it really is driving back to how to use our nurturing, how to nurture us and others, to get away from.
And Ceres is being activated quite a bit in this chart. Like we've already mentioned her a couple times, and she's square the nodes, and she has been for a while. And we've talked about that. What I think is also interesting is that Pluto has now stepped back into Capricorn. It's retrograded back into the same side. And so they're in the same energetic right now. And I think it's bringing forward a lot of those toxic Capricorn energies that we're moving through in this last piece where Pluto is in Capricorn, and all that toxic patriarchal energy or traditions and family dysfunction, even like trauma on a DNA level that's coming up, because that's the Capricorn energy, is like that inherited energy. And anywhere where there's emotional repression, these are Capricorn energies that we're working through on the Pluto level. And I think it's going to be coming up through Ceres as well, as it's highly activated, as it's square the nodes, and our grief and our how do we nurture ourselves through this and move all of this off of us.
Oh, thank you, Amanda. And that does clearly, without even going into this, as we do need to take a break, it's showing that we're getting connected in every way in the universe for support for this. So the story goes on. Come back with us. We'll be back in just a minute with Amanda Pierce and John Chinworth, Kaleidoscope Visions, Talk Cosmos. I'm Sue. See you in a sec. While we take a break from this week's edition of Talk Cosmos, let's take a look at this cycle's archetype. We are currently in the Yang period of Libra, ruled dually by Venus. By leaving the lower hemisphere of the self, the energy of Libra enters the arena where the completed self meets the other than self to form a relationship based on partnership. As a cardinal air sign on the descendant angle, represented by the equinox of equal light, Libra's energy learns through comparison and relationships, with the intention to integrate duality and polarities.
This is Martha Norwalk. Every Sunday morning, beginning at 9 a.m., thanks in part to the Ananda Institute of Living Yoga, we cover the world of animals. This week, October 13th, change the schedule. It's Behavior Training and Healing Sunday with me, and talk with your animals or human loved ones on this side or the other, personal awareness coaching and intuitive readings with Natasha Venter. Hope you can join us. Plan to call in with your questions for either one of us or for a personal reading with Natasha. Martha Norwalk's Animal World, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to noon, right here on Alternative Talk, AM 1150.
Talk Cosmos brings insightful conversations to awaken consciousness for the soul growth with hour-long programs every Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific on KKNW. Talk Cosmos weekly programs are also available to watch live on the Talk Cosmos YouTube channel and Facebook page. While you're there, make sure you click the like and subscribe buttons so you get the full Talk Cosmos experience. Or if you'd rather listen to the show archives with audio only, the entire podcast collection since 2018 is available on most podcast carriers. And to find out about upcoming programs, sign up for the newsletter at talkcosmos.com. So grab your coffee, tea, or kombucha and enjoy the show.
Real people, real life, real radio. Alternative Talk 1150.
Hello, and we are back. We're going to begin, continue on. Oh, let's go forward. Oh, and this is all of just a review for those folks that want to see everything put together. And Amanda Pierce at Amanda Moon Astrology at gmail.com. John Chinworth at, oh, rats, I did it again.
Archerstars at gmail.com is good.
Okay, very good. And my
Sky Path Astro, right? Sky Path Astro.
The sky. We love it. Look at the sky behind it. For those folks that want to know more about the Libra solar eclipse that was last week with archetypal symbols, do watch that program. And also just before that, we have some other seasonal interesting panels. One was Astrojam, and we have themes now. It was the fall equinox themes with two charts that were two different teams. Quite exciting and revealing about this energy. And best yet, I might say, is the turning season panel that is now about vibrational astrology. It's a fall equinox vibrations, and like the solar eclipse, an ongoing theme that we all experience until the solstice. The new panel is U.S. Global Currents, and October 20th, later in a few weeks, will be swing states. So thank you, everybody, for subscribing and signing up with Talk Cosmos. First quarter, that's what I was getting to, I think. It's 17 degrees, 57 minutes in Capricorn on the 10th, this coming next Sunday. And that'll be at Eastern Time, 2:54, 53 p.m. And it's a crisis in action, waxing energy. We're going to look at the hard aspects first for the turn of mulling over this energy. It has a square that's a grand square, but not that clear, and a yod, which is another focal point with Venus. Somebody want to chime in here?
Well, a yod is when you have two planets that are 60 degrees apart. On the bottom of the chart with a blue line, you got Jupiter, Chiron, and 150 degrees away from each of those is Venus on the other end, and that creates that triangle called finger of God, or a yod, which is kind of like in older astrology, like a symbol of fate or something. I like to think of it as something therapeutic, because the 250 degrees green lines don't like to resolve because they're in awkward signs together. So it's something you have to constantly work on.
It is about values, our Venus. And I just remembered Venus is ruling the sun at 17 degrees. And the South Node, where we've had that eclipse. So it's, we're looking at our values. Amanda?
Yeah. Venus is really being activated here, and in Venus in Scorpio, it really wants to go deeper. It's like it wants to rip off the Band-Aid and really see the truth of what's going on in your relationships, what's going on with yourself. This is the first quarter moon, so there's going to be some issues coming up or some conflicts that require us to take some action and kind of confront our environment. So we're taking action here, and Venus is really being activated in that piece there. I think also Jupiter is in play with this. And what I want to say about Jupiter is that it wants to bring abundance and prosperity into our lives. And in order for that to come in, we've got to let something go. You know, nothing new can come in if something isn't released to let go. So that's a piece here is it wants to help us. It wants to support us. And we've got to kind of flow with that. So just keep your eyes open for what is ready to go.
Good point. And it really falls back onto what stories we're telling ourselves in Gemini. So maybe getting more information to rebuild our philosophy or how we create things.
Yeah, maybe new information is going to come in through some ideas, through thoughts that we have, through that Gemini energy.
Oh yeah, good. Because it's creative. It's also in the 5th house. The flowing, connecting energies in our crisis of action, that waxing, opening square where moon squares the sun, has many powerful, helping, flowing connections. It again has a grand trine that we were talking about before.
Well, kind of a grand trine, or like it's almost a grand trine. There's many trines.
Yeah,
happening in this chart.
Do you see a grand trine? It's like holy mackerel. Anyway, okay, yeah, it's not quite. Maybe I'm remiss. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so it's yep, you're right. It's really changing more to the connections, which are very useful. You know, about all these parts, about our values with our emotions, connecting to dissolving. You know, how. For the moment, it's
and there's a really beautiful trine between Venus and Mars here, and Mars being the masculine or the yang, Venus being the feminine or the yin, and them kind of working together, and they're both being aspected through hard transits as well. So Venus through that yod and Mars in that grand square. But so they're both finding challenges, but they're supporting each other in this. So there's a nice integration of yin and yang for us available.
I think doing things, finding a step to actually do things. Mars is so activated here that really will help. I'm going to go on. Is that okay? If
we could just mention the grand square. The moon is now present with this, and so if you don't mind, there we go. So we now see the moon as part of this grand square, and we see Chiron as well. Moon's on the left side of the chart, and Chiron's down at the bottom. And so this is bringing up that feeling aspect again, and because moon in Capricorn doesn't always like to feel, it kind of doesn't always have that opportunity, but it's really coming forward for us to kind of be gentle with ourselves so that we can process through some things here.
Yes, and there's help on the way. It's definitely connecting to. So let's see what happens as we move through this, going to our full moon on the 17th, which is at 24 degrees, 35 minutes of Aries. And that's on the 17th, illuminating and enjoying this full aspect to see, let's enjoy it like John was mentioning earlier. And what do we need that isn't working? And there is another good square, this time a pretty strong square, although the strongest is this T square with, because they're opposing each other with Mars. So it's a lot of action. This is where we're really deciding to make some changes, possibly, or just forward motion.
Yeah, and a full moon, there's always greater awareness with the moon's receiving more of that, as much light as it can from the sun here. Mm-hmm. So we'll have a greater awareness around whatever has been going on, whatever challenges we've had come up this month so far. And, the moon is conjunct Chiron in this one. So there could be some painful revelations coming forward, or it could be really healing revelations coming forward as well. And again, Mars is in Cancer, so it may not be always the most direct information coming at you. This could come indirectly. Some people might be passive aggressive, or, that's the kind of energy that Mars can carry out in the world. Mars and Cancer can carry out in the world.
Okay. John, I'll get you here with our connections, the flowing, the sextiles and trines. There's quite a bit going on. If you want to share, but I guess too, maybe it's a continuation, would you say? I mean, there's the sun with Jupiter. There's these Chirons getting help with Jupiter. I mean, in other words, wounds and expanding. But a lot of transformation is still Pluto and Capricorn. It's
Planets
a
are
whole...
lots of sextiles this year. Planets that are 60 degrees apart from each other. They want to work. They don't want to work. They want to play together and explore and do it in a fun way. So these are actually kind of fun aspects. Also, with the previous chart, I think I wanted to mention a lot of water and earth, which makes clay, and you can mold the clay into what you want to make it into. There's a little bit of air with Libra, and I didn't see the other, fire, I guess, but mostly earth and water.
That is so interesting, because Prometheus gave us fire so that our little clay objects would have life. Yeah. And maybe when I'm thinking about Mars, as you said, we're in that path. That first path is moving from Cancer into Leo and then going back into Cancer for a long time, is almost like using that fire. How are we going to use it best? Where is our fire inside? What's driving us? What's our...
Well, and I love on this, in this chart right here, the Venus is in the last degree of Scorpio. So it's the last chance we have to work this energetic, and it's in a beautiful trine to Neptune. And so there's this opportunity to just deeply release and surrender all of the shadow aspects and shadow content that's coming forward for us. It's also exactly sextile Pluto. So that's really supporting this deep release and kind of
transformation.
Yeah, transformation and accepting these, whatever shadow content comes forward, accept it as part of yourself, and then just surrender it to source and allow that to be and work it through. And Venus is also opposite Uranus in this chart, so it's being even more activated. And I love what Rick Levine says about Uranus transits, that you're either being struck by lightning or you are the lightning bolt. So step into that lightning bolt space for yourself.
Bam, alakazam. Here we're going to move then to our last phase. Remember, we're in this long transition, because back in September, that Virgo new moon was really going in the Pisces eclipse. Because it starts a while leading in, and then 2 weeks later we have the solar eclipse, which was last week, just a few days ago on the 2nd. And now projecting ahead as we lead into the Scorpio new moon is that waning. Did I put waxing? Oh, rats, it's waning. Boy, details, Sue. Okay, it's a crisis in consciousness, and it's waning. It's a gestation cycle. And we're still in this, not transportation, but transformation going into that next new moon. So loud and square is that T-square.
Yeah, and we've had that full illumination from the full moon, and now we have this period for us to kind of integrate all that information, make some readjustments, kind of review what what all we've learned. And this is a period of inward action. And so we're taking action, but it's more around integrating for us the wisdom and the learnings that we've taken away here, and maybe making some tweaks in how we are taking action out in the world.
Yeah. And in Leo, it's really looking at that sun. You know, Leo is that fire that we were talking about, and it is in sun of our creativity and who we are. And as you said, to that light that's seeing the greater picture that's coming forth through the moon in Leo, going right back to that sun. So it's really a dynamic integration of transformation. And I didn't put down the extra 2 squares, but Venus of our values, trying to figure out with Saturn what's important, and which is still there. It's kind of weak, but it's in the background.
Yeah, and the sun has moved signs. So in the previous 3 weeks, the sun was in Libra, and we started it out with this need to kind of release the old Libra content that wasn't working for us, and now the sun has shifted into Scorpio, and all of that Scorpio work we were doing with Venus, Venus has moved on as well. And now we're embodying it as the sun. So that transformation of embodying the Libra energies that needed to be released. And it's now in that empowered Scorpio energy. So that's kind of, you're not going to really take any crap from anyone anymore. That's the Scorpio energy.
What I love about this, you have Pluto opposite Mars Moon, and when Mars and Moon are together, that's kind of Plutonian. So you have this. It turns out to be very intense on either side of that square.
Yeah.
So when we go into Scorpio, it's going to be like, here we are, people.
Yeah, it's not like the challenges are done with this month, but now we're challenged to kind of like integrate them more. And
that's true, because it's passionate.
And other people will be doing it as well, and we have to make space for that as people process whatever they're going through.
Yes.
So kind of intense.
And I have the date wrong. Darn, all the details. I am so sorry, folks. It's not on the 24th of September. It's October. Interestingly, last moons in Virgo were the same dates as this moon's. So it should be 24th of October, which is just a few weeks from election, and it's just before Halloween, right?
Yeah. Lots of emotions are going to be up for the whole world, and definitely in the United States, as
you'll love the Sabian symbol for the moon.
Oh, what is it?
So the moon's at 01 Leo, so look at 02 Leo. School closed by an epidemic. I live that. Children play with each other, and I'm like, if it's an epidemic, why are the children playing with each other? But anyway,
well,
so that's interesting energies for a Sabian symbol.
Yeah,
it is. It's like things are happening, but well, let's see what the connections say. We have a grand trine. There we go again. We're flowing, and it's still in water. This time it's the moon.
Well, and it's actually in fire.
Yeah. Right. Except for, go ahead.
Well, I just love the energy of this, this grand trine in fire. I feel like it's got a lighter energy than the water grand trine that we've been working through in the previous couple weeks. And Venus is now in Sagittarius, and that's just got a lightness and kind of a passion to it. So it's forward moving. It's looking to the future. Like we just processed a bunch of stuff this month. There was some heavy stuff coming up, and now we're feeling much lighter and positive and moving into the future.
Good. There's possibilities ahead. Potentiality. Venus in Sag. John, did you have you were smiling? No,
Amanda said it all. Awesome.
Well, here there's more. And again, folks, so sorry. That's the 24th of October at 4:02:50 a.m. in Eastern time. I trust that time. We can go back and check with the others. Oh, I'll have to to have a checklist. That's what I need, a checklist with my details. And every month, I've done that before, print it out and then check it all off. Yes, I did this. Yes, I did that. It's like check and balance, right? Okay.
Have you all
Sex
ever
house.
heard of the angel wings?
Mm.
Configuration called angel wings.
Mm-mm.
It's those sextiles with those trines. They make two triangles that look like wings.
Oh, that's very cool.
Oh, and that's what we have
I can't
here.
remember the astrologer, but she says it's one of the most hopeful things. It's the wings of an angel. Get ready
Oh,
to
I
fly.
love that.
beautiful.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have Uranus and Neptune, the far out planets that are looking at the now of visions and extra things beyond of our into imagination.
Pluto and Neptune have gotten back into that sextile that they were in for over 100 years before they were discovered. I think it was. They were like forever in sextile. So, and now they're back in that format. Or have they stayed there? I don't know.
Yeah,
There's Uranus in there. It's the outer planets saying we're working together here.
Yes, I love that. I love that we've been having these outer planets all together for a while now, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, and there's such an ability for us to kind of integrate on a deeper level through all of them.
Yeah.
And allowing like that, because the further out the planets get, the deeper we're going into our unconscious or subconscious. And so this is kind of allowing a little more flow and a little more integration to come up and get things moving for us. So it's a really cool and an easy flow. It's not like it's hard hitting you over the head. Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune don't do that to the other planets, but here they're all working together.
They're also getting ready. This is maybe their last song and dance before each of them change into different signs, which often means a whole new chapter on Earth. Uranus
it is that
into Gemini and Neptune into Aries and Pluto into Aquarius.
Yeah, it's a lovely progression, like a reaching, not a plateau, but
we can rest on this level and see what we've got here before we all take the leap into what the next thing is.
Because in 2025 in January, we go to a different south and north nodes. In March, Neptune goes into another sign. In July, Jupiter, and I think in June, Uranus does. So so we have time. But we're sitting here
a little bit
connecting.
Of a breather, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. And so this solar eclipse is really kind of gearing us up for next year. Even like these are the energies that we're going to be working through for the rest of the year.
Yes. Yeah, indeed. I know in our own lives, the changes are incremental. That means like step by step. But then again, it's kind of, you can't quite see it. We're still in this deep process.
We're in the soup.
Yeah.
In the soup.
Yeah.
Lights on, lights off. What do I see?
Yeah.
Well, I hope it's clam chowder.
Something tasty.
Do you like the
Northwest,
New England kind
Seattle.
or the Boston kind, the red or the white?
I kind of go for Manhattan style, the reds.
I like the
Ivers are
Boston
out.
with bacon. It's got to have some bacon in there.
Wow.
Over here, yes. It is interesting. In fact, I have a book on soup recipes, and I haven't quite tossed it out. I had so many recipe books, but soups, I think, they're important. They're like, you think of all the combinations we have in life with casseroles or which often have things I don't eat anymore, but or stews.
Maybe that's the advice here this month. If you live in the Northern Hemisphere, make some soup for yourself. It's nurturing. It's comforting. You might
let it all connect.
Represent us running into each other while we're trying to figure it all out.
Well, I think in many ways that is Venus and Mars working together because vibrational astrology says it's very tactile. I had to think about that. But in the mythology, of course, they get together. They're the great lovers. And what happens? They produce Cupid. And it's like those, but it wants you hands-on things. So making soup is maybe a psychosomatic remedy to just don't think, just do.
It's a wonderful way to nourish and nurture yourself. It's very Ceres, so.
Yeah, well, we'll have to talk about what nutritional things we put in our soup.
It actually combines Ceres, the moon, and Mars.
Yeah,
Mars being
like
the
Dr.
heat of
Bragg.
cooking.
Mars heating it up,
Yeah.
shopping the veggies.
Well, thank you, Amanda Pierce and John Chinworth, for a very enlightening eclipse season with our October lunar phases. Take care, everybody. Enjoy your soup. Enjoy your life. Blessings to you. And thank you.
Thank you for joining an insightful conversation on Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Minahan and her panel of guests awaken consciousness by connecting soul growth patterns with astrology's energetic cycles. Be sure to tune in next Sunday, 1 p.m. Pacific Time, to continue your journey through the roots of the cosmic pathway.